I'm using the new document profile called Interleaved. It creates a very interesting effect, and each of the graphics that I put into my two different CueCam decks are in line so that this floats, and I can work with it using Video Pencil over here. So this becomes an interesting little environment to explain something that's fairly complex. And I'm going to go over the seismic history of the Bay Area a little bit. So there are three faults: the San Andreas fault, that Hayward fault, and the Calaveras fault. In 1868, the Hayward fault had a magnitude 6.8, and that ground rolled in waves and brick buildings fell to the ground. 30 people died, and this earthquake was felt as far as Nevada. Some 40 years later, the really big one we know about happened in 1906. It was a 7.9 earthquake that had its epicenter out in the ocean. But there was a foreshock and then a big one and 4 days of fire, which burnt San Francisco to the ground. 28,000 buildings were destroyed. 3,000 people died. We all know about that one. 50 years after that, we've got a magnitude 5.3 that was a rumble in Daly City. People just poured out into the street, and plaster fell off of walls and water mains broke, but only one person died. And then in 1984 in Morgan Hill, there was a 6.2 earthquake, and houses fell off their foundations. Skyscrapers in San Francisco swayed, and people in Reno even felt the shocks, but nobody died. Then Loma Prieta happened, another gap in years, but this one is more in the South Bay, 6.9, and the Bay Bridge even broke, and 63 people died, thousands were hurt, and everyone, like my family, all know where they were when this one hit. In 2014, we have in Napa a 6.0 earthquake, where you had destruction in downtown Napa and gas lines and water lines being broken and surface ruptures. The first time the surface has broken since the big quake in 1906. So to recap, we've got a series of quakes, totally 325 earthquakes in that period. I just went to the big ones. And that small earthquakes are what release the pressure and allow us to have such a great gap between the big ones. Here's a different interpretation of the same material, just generated by a different harness. The last one was Grokbot. This one was ChatGPT's Codex. And all of these call outs and graphics and details were because I talked to the AI and said, now make this bigger, now make it a different color. Whatever it was, this kind of information is malleable now. It didn't take a day for me to do these. And for me, that makes all the difference in the world. I can now produce materials that are effective and compelling because I've got CueCam to record and I've got this graphic engine on the front end.